Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you are. Hello, thank you for watching my videos. It's Mike, it's March 15th, 2009. The Ides of March. And of course March means Mars. And Mars is the god of war in Roman mythology. I actually just gave Reinhardt a call. He's a nice guy. Yeah, he's alright actually. Cheers, dude. Anytime, yeah, we'll get a beer or something. Next time I'm wherever you are, which is nowhere, but I know. But anyway. Right, so, Reinhardt, basically, my video yesterday was more of an exploration of, well, what's going on here? Why is Reinhardt going for the 15th? And of course, this weekend, we had the G20 meeting. Now, as I mentioned previously in other videos, there's this thing called the Financial Stability Forum, which no one really mentions. All the coverage is, oh yeah, we're going to have IMF, and we're going to bail them out, we're going to give them all kinds of money, and the World Bank's going to get involved, and blah, 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 blah. And then, today, the FT is saying the Financial Stability Forum will gain a bit of teeth. So I've included a link to this. This is interesting news, very interesting news. So that's cool. One of the other things that happened at the IMF, which you probably didn't pick up on, China basically told the IMF that the IMF should increase the supervision of reserve currency economies. Well, there's not that many reserve currencies in the world. The primary one, of course, is the US dollar. And the secondary ones are, you know, the euro and the yen. So China wants the IMF to give them a bit of a shake. That should be interesting. Okay. Now, of course, the thing about this weekend was Reinhardt, and my connection to all of this was, are you ready for it? I'm not going to say his name. Mahmoud.
Mahmoud Ahmadinejad told his people.
Thanks, Marta. I'll plug you, Marta, don't worry. I'll send people over to Gnooze. I know the G is silent. Okay. But anyway, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. I almost said it correctly. There you go. Close enough. And this whole thing about, you know, the states saying that Iran is still a nuclear suspect, they're still part of the axis of evil, and what's all that about? Why is he doing that? Well, of course, a lot of people don't realize that Russia and Iran are working together very closely on building a reactor in Bushehr, to build a nuclear reactor so that Iran will have nuclear power, because Iran really just wants to sell all their gas and oil and use nuclear to generate electricity in the country. So, so basically Iran and Russia are in bed, and being very friendly with each other all the time. Now, of course, Iran is an OPEC member. Russia is not. However, announced today, excuse me, that Russia to propose an oil forum for OPEC members, and of course, Russia would very much like to join OPEC. And reported here, I've linked, Russia to become permanent OPEC observer. Now, they're not a full OPEC member yet, but Russia and OPEC really want to get together. And, of course, Iran just sold a bunch of liquefied natural gas to China, and working with China on oil deals, and it's all being priced in euros, and then you have the Iranian oil bourse. Now, today, the news will have it, the mainstream media has it, that Russia outlined, you know, plans to support oil prices, and Russia has been reducing output. Although basically people are saying, well, they're not actually reducing output, it's just their fields are drying up, and oil fields are drying up, and things aren't right. But, of course, Russia also supplies oil and gas to China, one of the biggest countries in the world, and also to India. They provide stuff to India as well. So, there's some interesting things afoot. The way that oil producers are going, actually Russia, the Russian Federation now supplies or exports more oil than Saudi Arabia. They are the #1 fuel exporter, well, oil exporter in the world. Although it's really difficult to keep track of all these things. So I thought Canada was #3 and Saudi was #2 and Iran was #4, but it flips around. Anyway, and of course with the production cuts. So what did OPEC officially say? Officially, they said they're not going to increase production. They're not going to change the output. What they're going to do, they haven't increased any of the reduction of output. But what they're saying is, currently there's an 80% compliance rate on the reduction of output. So whereas in January they came out and said, okay, well, our output should be cut 4.2 million barrels per day. They're now saying, okay, well, our compliance is at 80%, we want to get it closer to 100%, which will mean a reduction of roughly 800,000 barrels a day. So, now, that was the official statement. Now, one of the things that was in there, before OPEC met, the Americans came along and said, please don't tank our economy, essentially. Please help us. U.S. Energy Chief urges OPEC to spare world economy. U.S. Energy Secretary Stephen Chu said late on Friday that OPEC ministers should take into account the harm high oil prices can do to the global economy. So the U.S. is saying, okay, please don't increase, and please cut your output. And OPEC have said, no, we're not cutting output. We're going to cut it as we said we were going to and increase the compliance of the cut, but the output will stay pretty much the same. Although it will decline slightly and oil may go up in price slightly. Now, are you following all along here? Because it gets tricky here. So, the U.S. have basically said, okay, please. OPEC's response, the president responded in a comment on a question. We've been very happy with the new dialogue with the new U.S. administration. And so basically saying that Obama's team is actually trying, and OPEC appreciates that. Then he said, if U.S. have a detour on this, it will be a disappointment. Okay. Now, of course, OPEC didn't change their stance. Oil is still priced in dollars. However, what they did do, and this is not in the news either, the Russian Deputy Prime Minister, Igor Sechin, basically addressed the OPEC meeting at the start, and Russia was there as an observer. Now in here he goes through, I had to write this all out, and I've linked the whole opening session so you can check this. But basically he goes, in this context I would like to repeat our suggestion that we have already made that are, in our opinion, have become more acute with time. First of all, establishing a new oil and refined products trading system today, it is absolutely clear that the regulation of financial markets will materially change. This will be required by the situation on financial markets. And for this, apply the consumers. Okay. This will definitely require a substantial change of commodity trading rules. And if we ourselves do not suggest such approaches, we are absolutely sure that they will be imposed on us without our consent. Secondly, establishing a common settlement system based on supply contracts with control over participants, i.e. no messing about by weird markets. No messing about by banks and hedge funds. Thirdly, this is quite important, increasing a number of oil markers and using, get it, a multi-currency basket for payments for oil. So basically, Russia has come out and said, if you want us to actually get in bed with you in OPEC, you are going to have to switch to a multi-currency basket for oil. Now, OPEC really want Russia to join OPEC, because then they would actually have the political clout and power and strength. And Russia has basically said, okay, we'll do it, but you're going to have to, you're going to have to change the way the markets work. Stop these Americans messing about in these banks and hedge funds, messing about with commodity prices. and switch to a multi-currency system. They have signed a memorandum of understanding between the Russian Ministry of Energy and OPEC that made the provision for gradual development of the cooperation between us. This is going to freak Washington out. And of course, as I mentioned before on the Reinhardt thing, excuse me, China doesn't need to get all the treasuries anymore, because they can now buy oil and gas, etc., from Russia and from Iran in euros, due to the fact that the uranium or the Iranian oil bores. So, folks, this is going to be an interesting week with regards to the Reinhardt prediction. Okay, if you may have noticed on some of the comments on that blog site, he expects, or whoever Oz is, expects that the market will go up to about 7,500 or so, and then come back down again, and go down quite suddenly. Now, AIG have announced that they're going to come out and actually talk about things today. They're going to go talk to the Senate, or sorry, the Congress on Wednesday, being dragged up, and they're actually going to publish how many of these credit default swaps there are. And of course, the ever-lingering worry of the synthetic CDO is still there. So I've linked a new article to that one. Okay, folks, it's going to be an interesting and bouncy week. The stock market will do weird things. Treasuries will do weird things. Remember, 8 o'clock Monday morning, Treasury report comes out. This is where we see the effect of what China's been up to. And it's going to be fun. My prediction, I don't know. I'm thinking if the Treasury report is really bad, the dollar is going to decline against some other currencies. That's my guess. But I don't play markets. I'm just a reporter looking at the world, looking at news, watching things go by, waiting for the inevitable collapse of things. So, everyone out there, have a good day. And Reinhardt, cheers, man. Okay, peace, love, understanding, think about things. And I'll speak to you tomorrow.